ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله، الحمد لله، الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Welcome everybody from around the world. My name is Bilal Abdul Kareem. I forgot my microphone, but I think you can hear me now. Yes, I think you can. We're here on the BAK show where we're going to discuss the things which are important to you. I'm your host, Bilal Abdul Kareem, and we're coming at you live. We want to hear your questions, your comments, and your concerns. Today, we're going to be discussing the new developments which are taking place. We're going to discuss whether they're a good thing or bad thing or somewhere in the middle of it regarding the issue of foreign fighters here in Syria and them being allowed by the U.S. government to participate in the new Syrian army. We're going to talk about that in a second. But first, I want your help with something. Brothers and sisters, we are working on a project. It's called Voices of Truth. Voices of Truth is a project wherein we are giving a voice to the voiceless. As everybody knows, this country went through the throes of a brutal civil war to wrest control of the country from the clutches of Bashar al-Assad. But a lot of people really don't have a full picture in terms of why. What was Bashar al-Assad doing to his people that made his rule so brutal? Well, during this project, we are holding interviews so that we can bring the statements of the oppressed directly from their lips to your ears. And we are interviewing people from all around the country. It's a huge project and we need your help. Take a look at one of the clips here of one lady who was arrested by the regime, and take a listen to what happened to her. It's about a minute long, not too long. يعني شو صار إلى أسنانك بالضبط؟
وقت اللي عذبوني، وقت اللي يسألوني سؤال وما بدي أجاوب عليه يقلعوا لي كل سن ببنسة.
بالبنسل. نعم. وكم أسنان أهو شيخ؟
شلعوا لي كل القداميات من تحت من عدا درسين، وشلعوا لي 3 من فوق. أثناء تسببوا لي مرض، دخلوني مشفى العسكري بحماه. ضليت فيه 9 أيام.
وما كان المرض؟
مرض النزف من لست أسناني.
نعم. وعند الكهرباء كان يكهربوك، كيف هذا كان؟
يقعدوني على كرسي يسألوني أسئلة بدهم ياني أجاوب عليها وأنا ماني قادرة أجاوب عليها ولأنها ما أنا موجودة عندي. يحطوا لي جرية.
This is just a piece of one story that we interviewed and that we want to bring to you. As you can see, we've translated it into English. This poor woman was unjustly accused and was arrested, and her teeth were pulled out with pliers. This was normal. And that's where the main problem comes in. This wasn't a strange story. It was normal. And a lot of people don't understand the magnitude of the oppression that the people were under. This Voices of Truth project is something that I think that people 20, 30, 40 years from now need to watch and need to be abreast in terms of what happened, because those who don't know their past are doomed to repeat it. Please check out our crowdfunding page on medina.com/voices of truth. It's there on your screen now. medina.com/voices of truth. This is our crowdfunding page. We could use your donations, $10, $20, $50, $100, whatever it may be. Help us to bring these stories from the people who never thought that their stories would ever reach the masses, so that it can benefit people for 10s or 20, 30, 40 years from now. Jazakum Allahu khair. Okay, let's get back into the issues at hand. Firstly, we're going to talk about some of the new statements which have been made. Let's take a look and see what has been said. Now, this is breaking news. This happened today, just a few hours ago, and it is as follows. Thomas Barak, the U.S. ambassador to Turkey and special envoy to Syria, said the United States understands and supports Syria's plan to integrate around 3,500 foreign jihadist ex-rebel fighters. They're mainly Uyghurs, as was said, but it's not all of them. It's Egyptians, they're Saudis, there are all different nationalities. Into the new unit of the Syrian army, provided the process is transparent. Now, he's making this determination, or the US government's made this determination, because they're feeling that it's better to keep these jihadis under the rule of the new Syrian government rather than for them to be falling back into the hands of this group or that group. That's the United States rationale for allowing these foreign jihadis to be a part of the new Syrian army. Okay, now that we've said that, and I want your questions, I want your comments, and I want your concerns. But here's the issue that I have. This is my take on the issue. Do you remember when the Taliban took over Afghanistan and they ran the Americans out? They had a thing where they did not want the females to go to college or upper schools. And there was a big international cry about that this was unjust and that this is something that they shouldn't be doing. Even Muslims joined in with that. Now, they had their reasons for it, whether you agree with it or not. Oftentimes, they say that the curriculum is such that it promotes a certain type of a mentality that they don't want their Afghan females to be privy to. Also, it's because the country has been smashed by, years of war, 2 decades of war, and they just don't have the ability to educate everybody. There are many different reasons that the Taliban have. Whether you agree with them or not is not the issue. What the issue is that they maintained a sovereignty over the country of Afghanistan. And they said that they had the right to make those decisions. Now, I'm perhaps feeling uneasy when it's the United States of America, the enemy of Islam, the enemy of Muslims, the facilitator, financier, and weapons provider of a genocide which is taking place in Palestine, comes forward and says, it's okay that you can have foreign fighters. It's okay for you to have this and that. It's okay for you to have so-and-so and such and such. That doesn't make me feel comfortable. It makes me feel very uncomfortable because Donald Trump specifically and the United States government in general are enemies to Islam, enemies to everything that Muslims want, which is Islamic Sharia. So it sends up warning flags when they're saying it is allowed. That takes away from the sovereignty of the country of Syria and the brand new government. That makes me uncomfortable. Maybe it's just me. Maybe you guys can tell me what you feel about it. Bilal, you jump to conclusions. Just let it be. Or no, I share your opinion. That does not give the aura of sovereignty. I want to know what you have to think or have to say about that. Now, before we take those questions or comments or what have you, I want to go on to another topic, which is Gaza. During the Biden administration, there was the White House spokesperson whose name was Matthew Miller. Matthew Miller is the spokesperson, or was a spokesperson, for the Biden administration. As you can imagine, he went through daily pounding of questions regarding the war in Gaza, how it was handled and facilitated, because the Americans were bankrolling it and weaponizing the Israelis. He came on day after day after day after day and defended it. No, this is not a genocide. No war crimes were not committed. It has not been made that determination that war crimes were committed. They defended the Israelis. They massacred Palestinians, and he continued to say that, oh, Israel has a right to defend herself, and so on and so forth. He did an interview just the other day, and I want you to take a look at his comments now. This is so important, brothers and sisters, because I want to ask a question when it's over. Take a brief look and let us know what you think. Here it is.
Do you think what's going on in Gaza now is a genocide?
I don't think it's a genocide, but I think I think it is without a doubt true that Israel has committed war crimes.
You wouldn't have said that at the podium.
Yeah, look, because when you're at the podium, you're not expressing your personal opinion. You're expressing the conclusions of the United States government. The United States government had not concluded that they've committed war crimes. Still have not concluded that.
But your personal view is they have.
And
they were while you were there.
But let me qualify that there are two ways to think about the commission of war crimes. One is if the state has pursued a policy to deliberately committing war crimes or is acting reckless in a way that aids and abets war crimes. And that, I think, is an open question. I think what is almost certainly not an open question is that there have been individual incidents that have been war crimes where members of the Israeli military have committed war crimes. So ultimately, in almost every major conflict, including conflicts prosecuted by democracies, you will see individual members of the militaries commit war crimes. And the way you judge a democracy is whether they hold those people accountable.
But Israel hasn't.
That's my point,
right.
Is we have not yet seen them hold sufficient numbers of the military accountable, and I think it's an open question whether they're going to.
I'm really struck that you think now that Israel did commit war crimes, and yet at the time, and I get why, but at the time you were at the podium and you couldn't say that. I mean, personally, that must be very difficult for you.
So the State Department itself had concluded, not in these, they didn't phrase it in these terms, but I think I did at the podium a few times, had concluded that it was likely that Israel had committed war crimes. But I do think it's almost certain that they have.
This, in my opinion, just reeks of immorality. Let's take a look at the first thing. Issue number one, he said that, he says that this is his personal opinion, but when he was acting in the capacity as the spokesperson for the White House, he was expressing the views and of the government of the United States. Okay, let's pick this apart right now. Let me ask you something. The people who defended the genocide that Adolf Hitler carried out against the Jewish people during World War II, would anybody have accepted that excuse from them? They were aiding and abetting a genocide by defending the genociders. I think his name was, the chief propagandist was Goebbels, I believe his name was. And did anybody accept that from him? Absolutely, positively not. Why would they accept it from Matthew Miller? Do you think that just because you're expressing the views of the United States government and you didn't come out there and read a script, you actively defended the genociders, and you expect that to be acceptable? That's number one. Number two, get another job. What about if I decide to go work for the mafia or something like that, and I say, hey, yeah, I had to kill that guy over there. Yeah, but that was the policy of the mafia that I was working with. We want me to do about it. Would anybody accept that as an acceptable defense? Absolutely, positively, unequivocally, no. Third thing, look. Now he comes out and he says, it's highly probable that, some war crimes definitely committed. Okay, now you're coming out and you're saying, when you worked so hard to convince the people as the Palestinians were dying that no, there were no war crimes that were committed. War crimes? What war crimes? Pay no attention to those dead babies that you see over there. Nothing to see here, folks. And now you come later on when the jig is totally up. And now you want to say, well, there were some war crimes that were committed, and then he tried to go backtrack it and cover it up because he figured he had gone too far. And then he said that were committed by individuals. What individuals are you talking about? You've got a blockade that's starving 2 million people. These are not the actions of a few rogue individuals that from the Israeli military. Try to picture if that was the Taliban who were starving people, and all of these images of emaciated Afghans were coming out, and so on and so on and so forth. Would anybody accept that as an answer? That's what I mean when I say people are morally bankrupt. How do you go to bed every night defending these kinds of actions? Get up in the morning, kiss your children and your wife goodbye, and go back out there and defend genociders. I'm sure I have no idea. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's take a look and see what's important to you. And let's go out there. We've got A who says, Assalamu alaikum, brother Bilal, Akhi Bilal. Peace and blessings from Pakistan. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. How do I say? Did I get that right? Okay, I hope I did. And how are you? Man, we're happy to have you. Jazakallah khair for sending in a message. We've got Palestina Viva. Some people don't understand wala wal bara. Muslims choose other Muslims over kafir any time of the day. All right, let me tell you what's they're trying to say here. First of all, al-wala is to have a solidarity, we could say, with the Muslims. And al-bara is to have distance and non-solidarity with non-Muslims. Okay, after having said that, the statements just say that the sovereignty, the decisions are not coming from Ahmed Shara or the government in Damascus, formerly known as Abu Muhammad Jolani, but it's coming from Washington. If that's the case, where is that going to lead to? Bearing something in mind, the Israelis are Syrian neighbors. The Israelis and the Americans are one. They're not two entities, they're one entity. These allowances can't be for the detriment of Israel. It can't be. They've bankrolled a complete and total genocide. They gave them weapons, money, and political cover. They are committed to the cause of destroying the Muslims in the Middle East. Is it conceivable that they will make decisions that will strengthen the Syrian government? Absolutely, positively, unequivocally, no. So I do not believe that to be the case, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Okay, we've got Jugul Awang who says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome. And they go on to say, I am saddened by the atrocities done by the IDF by massacring the starving citizens of Gaza, and Sunni political leaders stay silent on this. Well, they're not exactly silent. Let me tell you what they're saying. Just yesterday, there was a delegation that was bound towards going into the West Bank to visit Abu Mazen, also known as Mahmoud Abbas, the president of those of the Palestinian territories. Now, here's what happened. The Israelis said, nah, y'all ain't going. So they weren't happy about it, went back to their contacted their capitals, and they decided that they weren't going to be silent about it. They were going to say something about it. And what did they say? We condemn this. This is not good. Israel is responsible, and so on and so forth. A bunch of blah, 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 a bunch of nothing. Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. They got nothing on the table for the brothers and sisters in Palestine. Just a few minutes ago, it was made mention about al-wala wal-bara. These people are so much closer to the West than their brothers and sisters, which are being killed by the truckload. More than 200 Palestinians are being killed on a daily basis. 48 mothers every day are being killed on a daily basis. And the toughest, meanest, nastiest thing you have to say is that Israel is responsible. Israel already knows that. Israel doesn't care what you think. Israel doesn't make any difference to them. You want to go and have a press conference, go ahead. Y'all got plenty of money. Y'all can go ahead and do that. But if you ain't got no army, you ain't coming up in here. That's the reality of the situation. And these guys are not fielding any army. It says, so this individual basically admits that the U.S. government tells them to go to the podium and lie. May Allah punish this individual for his crimes and his lies. Ameen. Which individual to go up? Okay, I thought you were talking about the other one. You're talking about Matthew Miller. That's his gig. That's his job. He was, for the Biden administration, the official spokesperson for the White House. And his job was to get up there. If they get up there and they say, you could literally take a child, hold him or her by the hair, and then slaughter that child, and that the government would say what just took place there was a mercy killing because the world is all messed up and that child won't have to grow up in this messed up world. So he'll get up in front of the TV cameras and say, thank you everybody for coming. That which just took place with Joe Biden slaughtering that child is not what it looks like. Now, I know that there's a lot of blood on the floor, but the reality of the situation is that it was a mercy. And Joe Biden did that child a favor. And everybody should be happy behind that. Thank you all for coming. That's it. And he is a soulless demon wearing an expensive suit that doesn't have the moral compass to be able to tell him, dude, what you're doing is just plain wrong. All righty. Ansar 95 says, what is the Sunni population in the southern Syria, Dara, Quneitra, and would they stand a chance if the Druze and the Israelis tried to capture those areas? Well, they're making mention of these southern areas right down here. This is the Quneitra area that was just made mention of. This is where the Israeli occupied territories, Syrian occupied territories are, right here in purple. Over here in the Aswaidat Muhafada or governorate, where they have a high concentration of Druze. So they're saying if they decided to come together and to take over all of southern Syria, could they do it? I'd say it's possible. I'd say it's definitely possible. You could take a look at it and you could see, there isn't a strong presence of Damascus sent troops down in these southern territories. So is it possible? Yes. Do I think that it would be easy for them to keep? I don't think so. I think easy to take, but not easy to keep. And Allah knows best. Okay, what do you think will happen if Israel and the USA attacks Iran? Do you think that Ibn Salman will declare jihad in support of America? Yes, I do think that that's what he would do, but he wouldn't be stupid enough, or maybe he would, to put it in those particular terms. Jihad to help America, that's a hard pill to swallow. I believe that they would come up with some cockamamie way to repackage it and to refurbish it and call it some type of a jihad. But in reality, it would be a jihad to help America, if there is even such an animal. I think they might try it, though. Can't put anything past them, and Allah knows best. Next, Fareed Khan says, Do you see Israel will fully invade Syria in a year or two? Fully invade Syria? No. Take over southern Syria? Yes. If you mean fully invade Syria, that's a lot of Syria right there. I don't see that happening anytime soon. No, I don't think that they have the horses for that. And I think that it would spark a very nasty response that the Israelis are not ready for. And Allah knows best. Ibi says, indeed, Allah punished Joe Biden with dementia and cancer. Well, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Maryam, when he's speaking to his Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, وَلَا تَسْتَعْجِلْ عَلَيْهِمْ. Don't be in a rush. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows these people, knows what they're into. Like Firaun, he elongated his life so that he would do more crimes and Allah would call him to account for the ugliness that he did. It would have been better for Firaun if he would have died as a child, but that didn't happen. And Allah will call him to account for all of the ugliness that he did to his prophet Musa alayhi salam and to Bani Israel, not the Israel that is over with the capital Tel Aviv. So I believe that Joe Biden living as long as he has, and the longer he lives, the worse it's going to be for him, unless he repents and he becomes Muslim. But he is in a position where he is just continuing his long list of crimes, and it just continues to grow and grow and grow. And it's the same thing for that Donald Trump as well. Donald Trump, I'm sure, thinks he's quite clever, he's quite smart, and a very powerful man. Well, Ronald Reagan was a powerful man also. Jimmy Carter was a powerful man also. And so were a lot of other dead US presidents. But where are they now? All of the staff members and people that were once surrounding them to carry out their orders, at the drop of a dime, well, they're not around anymore because they're all dead. And they're all now in a position where they have to be called to account for their actions. Okay, brothers and sisters, we're going to get ready to run. I need to just ask your help for just one last time. Look, we are in the midst of our project, which is a huge project that we're working on here in Syria, which is called Voices of Truth, where we are documenting the atrocities carried out by the Assad administration that was in charge of Syria just before. Most people don't know the extent of the tyranny which was carried out against the Syrian people. Take a look at another clip. It's very brief here, brothers and sisters, but get an idea. This is an ex-detainee when he was in prison, and other detainees died while he was there. Take a look and see how they dealt with it.
فهم مات فشو كانت الإجراءات لاتخاذ الميتين من السجن؟
هلا بالنسبة حسون ابن حسون حظه هو ميت، حظه حلو انه اثناء كان سيارته وقت توفى وانتقل الى رحمة الله كان سيارة الموتى موجودة بقلب الفرع، يعني طالعوه بنفس الساعة، بس غيره يضل 3 ايام، يعني بموت يوم الاربعاء في فرع المنطقة بضل معنا بالجماعية او بالمنفردة، لانه انا كنت اوقات يحطونا بالجماعية واوقات يحطونا منفردة، يضل معنا الاربعاء، الخميس، الجمعة، السبت الساعة 12 الظهر يجوا ياخذوا، وكان شهر 6 و7 و8، وبتعرف الحر والشوب والهاي، اوقات التقى 3 ميتين 4 ميتين بالمهجع ممنوع تشيلون، وقت يجوا بدهم يشيلوون هاتوا لنا الفطايس، يعني حتى انه الميت ما خالص من لسانهم الهاي اضطروا يشيلوون، يعني ايمت من مات الشخص لازم يضل يوم كامل.
Again, this was normal. That's the worst of it. This was not an isolated incident, as he made mention. This was normal, and the other prisoners knew if he died on a Wednesday, they just had to deal with it until Saturday. The guards wouldn't even come to get the dead body out. That's the level of oppression, hatred, and rancor and enmity that the government had for the Syrian people. And as my mother used to say, those of you who do not know your history are doomed to repeat it. This is a big project that I am heading, and we need your help. Please visit our crowdfunding page. It's right there on your screen, medina.com/voices of truth. That's medina.com/voices of truth. Please do donate $5, $10, $15, $100. Brothers and sisters, we want this to stand as an archive for tens of years so that people will be able to reference it and get a full idea in terms of what was happening to the Syrian people. My name is Bilal Abdul Kareem. Jazakum Allah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.